Number 25. Officially, Mount Everest is 29,029 feet based on a 1954 ground measurement. A satellite-based measurement in 1999 found it to be 6 feet taller, but this was disputed. Number 24. The summit is just under the cruising altitude of a passenger jet. Number 23. At Everest's highest point, you're breathing in a third of the amount of oxygen you would normally breathe. This isn't because of different air composition, but rather because of less air pressure. Number 22. Since 1969, at least one person has died on Everest every year except for 1977. Number 21. Winds on the mountain have been recorded at more than 200 miles per hour. Number 20. 1 out of every 10 successful climbs to the summit ends in death. Number 19. There are estimated to be 200 dead bodies on the mountain, and they're used as waypoints for climbers. Number 18. Reinhold Messner was the first to climb the mountain alone and without oxygen in 1980. Number 17. Frenchman Marco Siffredi and Austrian Stephen Gass snowboarded down the mountain in 2001. Number 16. The oldest person to climb Everest is 80-year-old Yuichiro Miura of Japan. Number 15. The youngest person to reach the summit is 13-year-old Jordan Romero. In May 2010, the young American broke the record previously held by 15-year-old Ming Kipa of Nepal. Number 14. The world's tallest man-made structure of any kind is the Burj Khalifa in Dubai at 829 meters. Everest is more than 10 times its height. Number 13. The world's second highest building, Taipei 101 in Taiwan, would need to be stacked up more than 17 times to match Everest. Number 12. The first tweet from the summit was sent by Kenton Kuhl in 2011. He tweeted, "Everest Summit number 9. First tweet from the top of the world thanks to a weak 3G signal." Number 11. The mountain gets taller by 4 millimeters every year due to upward thrust created by 2 opposing tectonic plates. Number 10. Google has now mapped Everest. Although it did not get to the summit, in 2011 a team spent 2 weeks hiking over 70 miles to reach base camp, capturing images along the way. Number 9. Without extra oxygen, Australian Tim McCartney-Snape became the first to climb from sea level to the summit in May 1990. Number 8. The first phone call was placed from the summit in summer of 2013. Nepalese officials, however, were less than impressed and deemed it illegal. Number 7. Bear Grylls, the youngest British climber to summit the mountain, also flew higher than the peak in a powered paraglider in 2007. Number 6. The record for the longest time spent on the summit is 21 hours, achieved by Babu Chiri Sherpa in 1999. Number 5. In 2004, there was a wedding on the summit. Mani Mule Paddy and Pem Dorji Sherpa, both from Nepal, kept their plans a secret from other climbers until they reached the peak. Number 4. 2 Polish climbers, Leszek Cichy and Krzysztof Walicki, were the first to summit Everest during winter in February of 1980. Number 3. Everest is well known for its traffic jams. Sometimes several hundred climbers can be on the summit at the same time. Number 2. The mountain was named after George Everest in 1856. He was a retired surveyor general who never saw the peak. And number 1. 1974 was the last year that no one climbed Mount Everest.
Everest is an incredibly brutal place. You know, until you've been there, you don't know what it's like. You don't know how difficult it is to actually survive at that altitude.
It's horrendously exposed. You do encounter dead people. There are bodies up there that can't be moved or removed because of the nature of the terrain.
The minute that you die, you stop being flesh and blood and you become part of the mountain. You adhere to the frozen rock.
Near the summit of Mount Everest, there's a cave the climbers call Old Green Boots.
Green Boots is a climber that died in 1996, I think, on the way down.
On the morning of May 14, 2006, a group of mountaineers were shocked to find another climber, frozen but still alive and sitting next to Green Boots.
Coming across someone stricken, whipped away by the harshness of the environment, it was horrible. It's the worst thing I've seen in my life.
Believing there was nothing they could do, they decided to leave the stricken man and carry on.
It's a hard thing to explain, but that's the hard calls that you sometimes have to make in mountaineering.
He described to me a man that was pretty much dead, and then Max comes along and says, "Oh no, he's come alive again."
More than 30 people walked past the stricken man that night, and yet a double amputee, Mark Ingalls, was the only one blamed for not helping him.
The hardest thing is to think that people think that you would walk past a dying person and not help them if you could.
He was a human being. Their aim is to get to the summit, and the welfare of anybody on the way is just too bad.
Now, we can't create barriers or walls of cotton wool where we can all go there safely and come home alive. People don't find that challenging enough.
People die. Those are the cold, hard facts of life at 8,000 metres. You're in the death zone. It's a graveyard up there.
Well, the idea came for me to do the 8,000 meter peaks probably around 1994. I'd climbed the 4 highest peaks in the world: Everest, K2, Kanchenjunga, and Lhotse. And I'd kind of done it randomly. I hadn't had any concerted plan. And after that, I thought, wow, why not continue this process and climb all 14 of these 8,000 meter peaks? And I kind of joke about it. I say, you know, I had 4 done, there's only 10 left. Obviously, without supplemental oxygen, Everest is by far the hardest. Technically, as the whole ball of wax, you might say, K2 is very difficult. A lot of people attempt that mountain. Many people fail. And as far as risk and danger and worry factor, Annapurna. You know, 180 people have climbed it and 80 people have died trying. So that's a 33% fatality rate based on success. And so that was the big worry one. Final day on Annapurna, that was an amazing day. We'd waited 3 days at our high camp in a windstorm, and at that point we were wondering, would we be allowed to go to the top? Tremendous winds, and finally the winds died enough we were allowed to go, and it took us 11 hours that day to get to the top. We had 4,000 vertical feet to climb, which is a long way at those altitudes. It was cold. We were in the shadow of the North Face. It was a huge struggle, but you know, you would have had to put a brick wall up that day for me to stop. And when I took those last steps to the summit, it was the literal dream come true. You know, a thing, a place, a moment that I've dreamt about for 18 years, and I was finally there. I was ecstatic.
It's always great to be up here. You know, I never anticipated that I'd be lucky enough to come up here once, let alone 4 times. And lucky enough to be on a beautiful day like today. It's just been absolutely perfect. Perfect calm weather, great climbing, and it just continues to remind me how lucky I really am.
When I started climbing here, I didn't set out with the intention of having the most summits of any female or anything like that. And you know, I've just been really fortunate to be able to climb and get to the summit as many times as I have. It's kind of my net goal, is can I be as good of a climbing teammate as possible. If anybody was looking to get into mountaineering, getting started, male or female, I think it's really important that you find a trusted voice to teach you. There's a lot to learn. There is a lot of objective hazards. There's a lot of hazards that have to be managed. And so you want to learn the skills from somebody you trust. So hiring a guide service is a great way to get started. If you have friends who are capable and want to teach you, that's also a great way to get out in the mountains and explore. But you have to put in the time commitment, be willing to work hard, be willing to suffer a little bit, and learn a lot, and the rewards will just keep paying you back for the rest of your life.
imagine what it will be like when I walk by your side. I can only imagine what my eyes will see when your face is before me. I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Surrounded by your glory, what will my heart feel? Will I dance for you, Jesus? Or in awe of you be still? Will I stand in your presence? To my knees or will I fall? Will I sing hallelujah? Will I be able to speak at all? I can only imagine. I can only imagine. I can only imagine when that day comes, when I find myself